Section 10.3a is about finding the square root. What that really means is using the square root property to solve a quadratic equation. Back in chapter 9 we learned about the square root property, and it said that if you have something squared and it equaled some number, you could take the square root of both sides, thereby isolating the x, and you get a positive negative version of that square root. That's what the square root property said in chapter 9. Now we're going to use that idea to solve this quadratic equation. Here we have x squared minus 6x plus 9, and hopefully you're to the point now where you can recognize that as a perfect square trinomial. This first term is an x squared, and it comes from an x being squared. The 9 comes from a 3 being squared. The middle term is 2 times x times 3, which it is. It's 6x. Now you don't have to write this step down. I just did it so you could remember how to check for a perfect square trinomial. So that means that this trinomial factors to be x minus 3 squared equals 25. Now we have a perfect square on this left side. We have a binomial that's squared, and now we can apply the square root property that we reminded you of up here. So we will take the square root of both sides, canceling that off, leaving us with an x minus 3 equals plus or minus, remember the square root of 25 is 5. And then I will finish. We're going to add 3 to both sides. So we get x equals positive 3 plus or minus 5, which means the two solutions here are going to be negative 2, that's what 3 minus 5 is, and 8, that's what 3 plus 5 is. So we're going to use the square root property to solve perfect square trinomials, to factor them, and then to take that square root of both sides and solve quadratic equations. Here's another example using the square root property. I notice this is a perfect square trinomial, and it comes from x plus 3 squared. That's what that trinomial factors to become, and that equals 5. Now that I have a perfect square over here, I can use the square root property, canceling those off. I'll have x plus 3 equals plus or minus the square root of 5. Now I'm going to leave it as a square root of 5 for now, because that's okay to write my final answer. I'll subtract 3 from both sides. X equals negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 5. Like I said, that's an okay final answer. If you actually need the two values, the numbers, you can plug it into your calculator. And negative 3 minus the square root of 5 is negative 5.2. And negative 3 plus the square root of 5 is negative 0.8. So that's what the decimal answers are if you round them.